What's going on, guys? Blue Puffin Media here with a new video, sky replacement tutorial for Photoshop 2021 version. So for those of you who don't know, Photoshop has basically released a new edition, sky replacement. So we're going to be testing that out today, doing a little tutorial for you guys. For this one, I wanted to try out you can see I have up here 6 different types of pictures. So I'll show you those now. We got just a basic sky replacement, sharp edges, nothing too drastic. Going on to the second one, we have some branches, see how it goes with that, see if there's, some faded edges on these branches, see how it holds up. Next, we've got something that's a little more difficult, a lot of intricate little branches and leaves here. I want to see how it does with people. This is probably not the best picture for it, but we will be able to see in these little areas right over here, if we go and zoom in, how it's gonna, on his neck right there, how that's gonna work out. I want to see how it works on reflections in windows, see what happens there. It's gonna be very interesting. And finally, the hardest one, biggest test of all, what's gonna happen with reflection in the water. Now, this is something that even for normal sky replacement is very difficult to do, let alone for a computer controlling the entire thing. So let's check this out and let's see what we get. So for this first one here, we're going to go to Edit, down to Sky Replacement, and it's automatically going to pick this image right here. So let's pick something a little more. Let's go blue skies. We want something a little cooler than that. Maybe something like this. Yeah, that looks like something that could be believable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna zoom into our image, and we want the least fade possible. So we're gonna shift that edge the opposite way. We're gonna shift that edge over here so that those lines are sharp. We're gonna up the brightness to a believable image, and boom, just like that. Looks like I could have gotten that right out of camera. That's amazing. Moving on to number 2 now. We're going to go with something with a little bit more branches. Let's see how Photoshop holds up with this. Now for this one, I'm going to go do the same thing, sky replacement, but when I go to pick my image, I want something a little more spectacular. You can see that Photoshop has these presets chosen already for you guys, although you can import using this button right here your own images. But let's go with this one. Wow, guys. Holy crap. Already, just with a click of a button, that looks gorgeous. Although, these branches up here are looking a little bit messed up, so let's go ahead and let's shift that edge back just a little bit so that those branches come into play a little more, but not too much. Not too much. We're gonna keep fade edges on, although it looks like it's not making too much of a difference here. Next, we are going to up the brightness just a little bit, and I'm actually going to go ahead and shift that edge back just a little bit, so it's just kind of encroaching on those branches. And boom, 1 minute in, and we get this image. Absolutely gorgeous, guys. I'm super impressed with how Photoshop is holding up so far. This is gone beyond my expectations. Alright, so we're gonna look into this one, and as you can see, guys, especially when we zoom in, there's a lot of nasty little holes and curves for Photoshop to work through. So I'm actually very curious to see how it's gonna hold up. But same thing as before, sky replacement, same thing. Okay, that's not that bad, not bad. You know what? Let's go. Let's say this is a nice sunset image, and there's that big line of shadow coming right there. So let's pretend that there's a sunset going on in the back. Let's pick one of these. Let's cycle through them. Okay. Okay, that's number 1 right now. I'm liking that one. Ooh, close second. Close second. That's another good one, but it doesn't seem like much of a sunset if I'm being quite honest. You know, guys, I think I'm going to have to go with this one right here. I think that looks the coolest. And again, you can pick anything you want. You can put your own images into here. You could honestly take an image of a cucumber and make the sky a cucumber if you wanted to. But these are just the presets that Photoshop has. So let's take that and let's use our zoom tool to zoom in. And it's, guys, Photoshop has really outdone themselves with this one. Off the bat, it looks extraordinarily believable. There is a sharp line right here, and I'll show you guys why that is. And all you have to do to combat that, you see when I move the scale, see how that line switches? That's because that's actually where Photoshop thinks that the sunset is setting right now. So all you got to do to combat that is just scale it up just a little bit. And I probably didn't even have to go that far. And you basically get the same image. As you can see, when you scale it down, scale it down, scale it down, see what happens. You can scale it up. You can scale it up a ton. And now you just probably got big clouds. Big clouds coming, yeah. So we're going to keep it right around 110, I think, is a good spot. And just zooming in again, there's no hard cut. So that's all good. With this, I am going to move the brightness up just a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit too dark for a sunset. There's still some sun out there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the finished image. Next, we got this big boring sky right here, but we got some people, and we don't want to take away from their necks and faces. We don't want to mess them up. So we're going to see how Photoshop works with that. Going to go down to sky replacement again. I'm thinking something less dramatic for this one. I'm going to go to the blue skies folder. Going to close these other ones real quick. I'm going to go to the blue skies folder that Photoshop has laid out for us right here. Zoom in so we can get a kind of a clearer picture on what we're looking at. And guys, I really like this one right here. Actually, I take that back. This one, nope, I take that back once again. So we're going to go for something very undramatic, very non-dramatic. Maybe even this one. Maybe, you know what? I like this one. You know what? Let's mess around for a second. Let's see what we get here. Maybe a rainbow, maybe something like that. I think something. Oh, you know what? Let's make it a dark image. I like that. Let's make it all doom and gloom. All right, cool. Same kind of idea. We're going to move that scale just a little bit. See some potential. There was a little crease right there that we needed to fill. And I'll tell you this, guys. Photoshop is not doing too well with this stuff right here. Alright guys, so it looks like Photoshop messed this one up. If we look at the original image and then the finished image, there's this whole area right here that I was completely unable to fix with Photoshop's built-in tools. This would be something that you would have to do manually afterwards, but sky replacement, and then even people right here. Shifting the edge of this doesn't really do much for these people's necks, because when you go so far like that, if you have anything else in the foreground or the background, it's going to get messed up. So this might not be a tool for people. If there's an actual person as the subject of the shot, this might not be a job for them. Alright guys, so moving on to image 5 now. We are 3 for 4. These last two images right here are going to be the big deciders of whether this technology Photoshop has released needs to be improved greatly or is a huge innovation. Right now, I'm thinking huge innovation, but let's see. Testing out these reflections on the windows, we are going to hit sky replacement just like usual. And we are going to get, well, we don't want it to look doomy and gloomy for this. This is the U of M Hospital. It is a super cool piece of architecture in my opinion. I really like how it looks, and it is very pretty when the sun is out. So let's, you know what, let's do a sunset for this one. I think I'm gonna go with the image right here because I think it looks the most realistic in my opinion. We're gonna do the same kind of thing. So we got it first. Let's match the color temperature. It seems a little bit off. We're going to make it kind of colder. Second, I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. About 19 maybe. About 19. That sounds good. And last but not least, we are going to zoom into those edges and make sure that they look good. We want nice crisp edges, guys. We don't want anything too faded like this. We don't want anything... Actually, that looks good right there. Right around there. Where there's that little bit of fade that you can barely tell. And it just looks like some chromatic aberration, honestly. Some camera artifacts that make it look very out of camera. If I looked at this picture and you told me it was real, I wouldn't be the wiser. And as you can see, there is a slight change to the reflection on the windows. Very, very subtle. It's hard to tell. If I zoom in a little bit, it'll be easier for you guys to tell. But look at this. There's a slight change, and it really does make it look realistic, in my opinion. We're going to get to this last image right now, but before I do, guys, I just wanted to note something. When Photoshop does these sky replacements, it's not just an effect built in. You actually get a whole folder, a group that you can open up, kill certain parts of it, make additions to certain groups. We've got layer masks, guys. We've got linked images. Photoshop does all the heavy lifting for you. It's amazing. Alright, guys, moving on to the last image here. We are going to see how it does with water and reflection. I'm a big fan of this shot right here. I really like to see the ripples. There are very subtle creases and shadows, and I don't want that to get messed up. I want its integrity to stay intact, but I do want to mess with the sky a little bit, and it needs to be reminiscent in the water as well. So let's work on that. We're going to go to sky replacement here, and moment of truth. Okay. Let's pick in the blue skies region something like this. Actually, we don't want something too blue. We want something maybe a little bit more warm. Something like this. Yeah. Okay, guys, so what we are looking at is not exactly what I was hoping for, unfortunately. It appears, it took care of the sky beautifully, but it appears that the water is still reminiscent of the sky before. And we want to change that. I actually think it works with the image right now. I think it works very well. But, you know, it does look fake. It is very obvious that it is fake. So when I add it in there, guys, it's not looking like it made a difference when it came to the water. And this is not an advanced tutorial right here. I want to be clear. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty about how we would manually work on the water after the fact. Overall, guys, though, I'm not too mad at this image. Photoshop does need to in the future work on its reflection when it comes to sky replacements. So the reflection in the building was somewhat covered and accounted for, but the reflection in the water was sadly not. Overall, I would give Photoshop's new sky replacement addition and extension, I would give it a 9 out of 10. It has a couple things it needs to work on, but it really takes off the heavy lifting. Something like this image right here. This would take upwards of 15 to 20 minutes to do manually, and even with that light glare right there, Photoshop, it looks so good and it gets it right. This is exactly how it would look out of camera. When it comes to things with reflections, though, Photoshop needs to work on that in the next edition, and I'm sure that that's something that they will continue to improve in the years to come. But with that being said, guys, let's take a final look at the before and after images, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Hope this was helpful. Peace out.